Hey there, it's Gabrielle Nicolay from Speech Kids and Raising Orchid Kids, where we teach little kids to talk and help parents understand their little kids. And today I'm so excited. We're talking to Dina Farmer of, I always get this wrong, there's no way to do it, Lily and Magnolia Travel. Lily
Yes,
and
that's
Magnolia Travel. Okay, now, this is no ordinary travel company, Dina. Why?
Because I help families with autistic children plan and book vacations. So yeah, it's a baby for me, really, because well, my oldest son was diagnosed with autism in 2019, and my youngest son within this month of September. So he was diagnosed last month.
So you've got two
with autism. Yes, two autistic little boys. Yes.
And how old?
My oldest is 10 and my youngest is 5.
Okay.
So little age gap there, but they get along for the most part.
I was about to say, they're going to be siblings for their whole life. So
yeah,
it's all good. And so when did you start Lily and Magnolia? Why did you start Lily and Magnolia? Tell us the story.
So to be transparent, I'm a veteran and a military spouse. And after I got out of the service, I didn't do anything for a while, except raise my kids, which is a job.
Whoa, hold on a second. Rephrase.
I know. I am still, but I was a full-time stay-at-home mom. And honestly, I feel like that presented me with the opportunity to identify that my oldest was on the spectrum, because I don't know, outside of not being with him every day and every minute of the day, that just the level of autism that he has, I don't know if I would have identified it as soon as I did,
because it was subtle.
With not being. Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah. And my youngest is very similar too. It's pretty subtle, but there's just bigger things. Like we were talking offline about sleeping, and and potty training has been a major struggle for us. So, so I stayed at home after I left the Air Force, and my husband moves around a lot. So I was looking for a job that I could have, or a career I could have, where every time we got orders to move somewhere, I didn't have to quit, because we could go into this forever. Like the military spouse unemployment problem is like astronomical. I think you can quote me. Don't quote me. But I think it's upwards of like 86% of military spouses don't have jobs. So it's a very high number of unemployed spouses. So because there's, we pick up and move every couple of years. Right. So I just wanted something. And I found this program for military spouses to own their own travel agencies. And I've always loved travel because I've literally been in the Air Force my entire life. I have never spent a day outside of it. It's crazy. So I said, what the heck, why not? So I joined, and I started my agency in 2018. And then like I said, my oldest son was diagnosed in 2019. And then right before the pandemic hit, I went to a conference and I talked to a bunch of other travel advisors, and I was, sharing about my son and how I was thinking about pivoting and like, how could I offer services to families with, I was labeling it originally just disabilities. And there's a lot of other travel agents that do that much better than me.
Okay.
But I decided then from that conference in February of 2020 that I was going to get certified through the IBCCS with their certified autism travel professional program. I got all that done.
What is that acronym that you just said? I'm just going to close my window.
The International Board of, I think it's Credential and Continuing Educations, and they help different places like police stations, libraries, travel advisors get certified with autism training so that the staff can better support, those individuals. And that's where I got my certification.
Okay.
And then the world closed down right after I got my certification. And I was like, well, at least I'll be able to tell everybody what I can do. I just haven't had the opportunity to do it because,
Okay. So here we are. So yeah. 2018, you become sort of regular travel agent ready. 2019, yes. You get this diagnosis. You think, okay, there's a need here. Hang on. What I hear you saying is like the physical disability side of the travel industry is pretty well established.
I feel that way. I feel that way. And I mean, of course we can like, there's plenty of travel advisors that do it so much better than me. Like I understand very minimal as far as that goes.
Yeah. And so your talent and your time and your expertise, sort of you redirected it to in the autism space, sort of families traveling with autistic family members.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a little bit selfish because like I also wanted to like, I wanted to figure out ways that I could travel with my kids because I love to travel too. And then every time we move, like how to make those moves easier. So I could, help my boys get through it because moving is hard, especially every couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason moving is like on the top, whatever, 5 life stressful events, including death, marriage, like it's up there, changing jobs.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Both, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. So the world closes down, fast forward, because fast forward. Nobody wants to think about COVID anymore. And so where are we at now? What is it that you help families do? So let's pretend I'm a family. We don't have to pretend. My friend Jen, she's got a 14-year-old, I think he's 14, with some major ADHD. She's got an 11-year-old, 12-year-old with autism. They want to go on vacation. This is very difficult. Right. They call you and what?
We have a conversation because obviously I can't help you if I don't know what your child's needs are. And that's the big thing. And it's just simply saying like, hey, for example, I just booked a trip like literally before we started talking because the little boy elopes. So it was very much like what do you need in order to support you while they're on vacation? Like, do you need added security? Do you need a babysitter? Do you need a nanny? Do you need a respite care provider? Like all those things, like what are your overarching needs? Because I can't help you if I don't know, right? So we have as long conversation as you want, either on a telephone call or a Zoom call or through email. And some clients have actually sent me like very, very long list of things. And I'm like, this is great because then, at least I can go call the resort or call, the tourism supplier I'm looking through and say, these are the things that my clients are very, very concerned about. And like, what can we, as in the tourism supplier and me do to help them? Which, whether it's like hiring a nanny to come and stay for the whole time, which I did that for them because they're worried about their little boy, and as they should be. Yep. And then I really like to build rapport with resorts, and I like to support resorts that are going the extra mile to like become certified in autism in some way, shape, or form. And we all know that Beaches is like at the top, like they are doing such a great job and they're certified through the same place that I am.
I didn't actually know that. So for anybody listening, Beaches is like the place. Yes, I didn't know that.
Awesome. Yeah. They've done it. Nickelodeon resorts and hotels have also done it. And their parent company has too. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You guys are all getting on the bus. Like, this is so great, Yeah. And then there's some airlines too that are actually starting to do things to get involved with helping families with autistic kids. Because as for example, I can also help with if you aren't unable to get seated next to each other, which is still crazy to me in this day and age that like airlines are not sitting their parents, like the kids and the parents together.
I mean, a computer programmer could do that in 5 minutes, right? Yeah. Like age under 16 or some flag of like automatic. Okay, never mind. Right. I feel the same way about insurance, by the way. So, yeah. Really?
But the nice thing is that airlines are starting to realize that this is an issue, and they have accessibility desks that I'm able to call, or the client, if they want to call and say, hey, we really need, like, I know the plane is, got all kinds of different seating configurations, but we really need to be at least in the same aisle as our child, which is not unreasonable. It's not.
Yeah.
So, helping with that kind of stuff. And then of course, whatever they want to do within keeping within their budget. Cause I hate breaking people's budget. And I only recommend things when I feel like it's going to be really, really good for them. Amazing. Like, yeah, you should go to Chichen Itza. It's going to be amazing. Like,
so this is like customized in budget travel consulting where you know some things, the questions to ask, and you know something about the industry, places to steer people to that they're going to get their needs met.
Right.
For families who have autistic family members. I think
Yeah.
I bow to you. This is amazing.
Oh,
I think this is amazing because, first of all, I mean, just start with the airline. Like, travel sucks right now.
yeah.
It's so hard. It's so hard to get anybody who's not, 100% able-bodied, well-rested, well-fed, and like in the middle of the day onto an airplane, let alone,
Right.
Anybody who's got a sensory challenge or who has any kind of other thing going on. So I just think one of the reasons I want, that I, first of all, enjoyed talking to you, but also wanted to have you on is because I think this is a service that I have never heard of this. I know that maybe it exists in the world, but I didn't know of an actual person who did it. So
Oh.
yeah. So you are, you are special. What are like, give me like one or two things that families don't know they should be asking when they call you, or like what are the common questions that you ask families because they don't usually tell you, or yeah.
I think the biggest thing is what do they need? Because I feel like when I get families, they are already stuck in that headspace of I'm doing this on my own, like I'm just going to book it and I, have everything together. I don't need to talk about it, but it's like I can help you, but I want to know what you need from me. That way we can make sure that let's pretend we're cruising on Royal Caribbean, because they have an autism program too. They're amazing. I love them. I book them so much. But like to tell them like, hey, we have an autistic child in the party. And then they will let the crew and the staff know, especially in the kids club, like, okay, the staff is trained. What happens when this child has a meltdown? Do we need to automatically call the parents? Is there something that the child can be given that will soothe them? Like, how can the staff help? And just by them knowing that the child has autism, like it already makes it a more enjoyable cruise for everybody, because the staff can then help the family rather than it just becoming this, big mess of like, well, the child was crying the whole time and we couldn't check him in the kids club and we didn't get time to ourselves, or they didn't get time to play and make new friends, or, the list goes on and on. It's just that I think that's the biggest thing, is just like, I don't need to know their level of autism. And I don't need to know like what loveys they need to bring on their trip, but like I just need to know what support they need. That way I can ask for it. And then the other thing I hear a lot is that families are very anxious to travel, period. And I totally get that, like 100%. And I always say, even if you don't book your very first trip with me, or, your 102nd trip with me, start really small to make it easier for your family to travel. And that could be anything from like booking a hotel in your city, your hometown, and like just spending the weekend there. And I don't have to do that. Like that's only, you can do that on your own. But like we were just talking about getting my youngest son to tolerate headphones, and like how we can do baby steps to get my son to tolerate headphones, which is the same thing with travel, just little small trips to build up to that 7-week vacation. I don't know about
vacation. Yes, please. But yeah,
got 7 days, 7 days.
Yeah.
Days.
Even 7 days.
7 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Either. But you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, and it's funny because you and I were just talking, right? You and I were just talking about the headphones, and you have an ABA provider. People have lots of opinions about ABA.
Right.
At this point, the parts that I love about ABA, and it sounds like sort of a little bit of what you are doing here too, recommending certainly, is start small, keep it successful. That's the best part of learning, is when people can stay calm enough. And this is what you're providing families, which I love, right? You're like taking their anxiety and they're like, oh, I don't know if we can do this. And being like, okay, you're not sure if you can do this yet, so try something smaller.
Yes.
And then when you're ready, call me and I will smooth this out for you, because you actually can do this. And I think for me, talking to you, like that's where the magic lies, is like, because many people are comfortable with their autistic kids at home. They've achieved a level of function and they're like, it's okay. but they're like, we can't go anywhere. It's too hard. And I just feel like you entering the picture with this, you know, with what you know about how to travel is huge for people. I think it opens up doors not only for parents, but also for kids who, to your point, like maybe they're going to move. Maybe they, you know, they should also see new things. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's my number one thing, is that I honestly truly believe that travel is for everyone. And it shouldn't be that like, oh, well, just because so-and-so is, you know, whatever level with autism, it's easier for them. Like everybody should be able to travel no matter what.
Travel is for everyone.
Yes.
Oh my God. If people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can find, I live on Instagram. So I'm at Lily and Magnolia Travel on Instagram. So if you, I mean, honestly, like that's the best place to find me, but I do have a website, www.lilyandmagnoliatravel.com. That's Lily, not the two L's.
Yep,
Those
one
are the
L.
best places to find. Yeah.
Perfect. So Instagram and the website, we will link to both of those in the accompanying, you know, documentation. Is there anything else that you want to give to parents before we sign off today?
Yeah. You know, another thing that I've noticed is that a lot of parents say, I mean, I love Disney to the moon and back, but we can to more places than theme parks.
Say that one more time because your internet blinked out.
Sorry, we can travel to more places than theme parks. I love Disney. I do take frequent trips there, but I feel like we're allowed to go other places. Like we're allowed to go to the beach. We're allowed to go to Ireland, which is another autism friendly destination. We're allowed to go to Myrtle Beach. We're allowed to go to Washington State. Like we can go all these places. We don't have to just go to Disney and Universal and have less stressful vacations, because my goodness, can a theme park be stressful? Like even for typical families, you know?
I was about to say, both of my kids are typically developing. We have never been to Disney as a family because I can't tolerate it. I can't tolerate the sensory. Like, forget it. No,
it's a lot. It's a lot. So I always say, like, come to me for a Disney trip and then let's talk about somewhere else, you know?
They have just started mowing my lawn. So if you hear it in the background, that's what it is.
It's me too. Me too. I was like, I hope Gabrielle can't hear that, because they like the guy just blew past my house. And I was like, oh no.
I think the computer dulls the noise, but anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it is keep doing what you're doing, please.
Thank you.
It is a gift to families who often don't see how to do the things that they want to do. And I just, what's radiating off of you in waves is, yes, you can. And anybody who does that for families, I don't care what they're doing, if they're doing, yeah, you can, then they deserve all the goodness in the whole world. Oh. So
thank you.
Thank you for being here today. It was a delight.
It was so much fun. I've had a lot of fun talking.
I'm so glad. I'll see you next time.